What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of CMA Podcast. How is everybody doing? Today, I am joined by music royalty. I am joined by Nadia. Wow. How are you doing, Nadia?
Good, thanks, man. How are you?
It is a pleasure to talk to you again. It has been close to 17 years since I sat in front of you and had a conversation or perhaps a beer.
Insane.
Unbelievable.
Too long.
Too
you
long.
Haven't changed a bit. You look bad.
I got a little grayer on top.
Mm-hmm.
That's all the stress of life, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You look fantastic. So I used to work with you in the Woodford in Cork, south of Ireland. We were bar staff together, and it was a wonderful time because life was easy. There was no responsibilities. There was no curfews. There was no bedtime. It was just a case of, all right, we're up. Let's go about our day and let's sit down and enjoy some beers in the evening.
Yep. And work was fun. We had fun.
That's the thing. That is the thing. Because when you're working in a bar in Ireland, you're expected to be drunk. It's true.
Well,
I know. But you just decided one day I'm going to Europe.
Well, that was my second sojourn, so to speak. But yeah, it was Christmas 2005. Life was getting me down. I was living in Sydney and I wasn't enjoying it very much. And Christmas morning, I was up with my family and I was like, you know what? I could go for my Irish working visa. What was I, 27? I was like, I don't have much time left to get another visa, so I'm just going to do it. Age restrictions, you know.
Yeah.
And that was Christmas morning, 2005, and I arrived in sunny old Dublin on St. Patrick's Day, 2006.
Wow.
So 3 months it took me, and I was there. Hated Dublin.
Most people do.
And went down to Cork. And yeah, my first week in Cork was basically, I think I arrived. I went out to the Brogue on my very first night, good old Brogue.
Oh, yeah.
And I think the next day I went to the Woodford and I applied for a job. And the next day I found an apartment. And then I think by the end of that week, I started my first shift at the Woodford after moving into my apartment. So it all happened within literally 7 days. And I was there meeting you.
There you go, man. And the Woodford's a fun place to work as well. If ever anyone from Cork was listening, back in the day, Woodford was less, it was formal during the day. Like during the day, it was like lunches and stuff. And in the afternoon, it was pretty quiet. But then in the evening, you know, you had your house music, you had people coming in, cocktails. There was a cocktail bar there and stuff. But yeah, it was a fun place to work. I thoroughly enjoyed working there.
And the thing about the time that I was there with you, I don't know if you recall, but it was the World Cup was happening that summer in Germany, was it?
Somewhere like that, yeah.
I don't know. It was happening. And so they decided to install some large screens in the pub. And so during the day, we suddenly you didn't work many day shifts. I was working a lot of waiting shifts during the day and then the occasional bar shift by the end. But man, those daytime shifts, we were just getting slammed.
Yeah.
I made quite a hefty amount of tips, which actually then got me traveling around Europe for the next few months. Just from that 2-month period over the World Cup was awesome.
Yeah, that's sick. I mean, you talk about that. You're like, do you remember it? Here's the thing. When I was just doing my little prep work for this podcast, I remember things so clearly, specific nights, jokes we had when we were working behind the bar, getting drunk, blah, blah, blah. That was 15, 16, 17 years ago. I'm like, Jesus Christ, where's the time gone?
It's just crazy.
Oh, man.
And yeah, man, we did have so much fun in that bar. Like we were just ridiculous.
Yeah. Crazy stuff. I loved it. I loved every bit of it. It was one of the most fun places I had working, because other places management would be down your neck. You know, like some places wouldn't allow staff to drink during their shifts, and that's fine because people would be abusing it. Other places where I worked, it would have been security, so obviously no drinks when I'm working.
Yeah.
But just those days in the Woodford, especially the Woodford, it was just a lot of fun, you know.
It
And
was.
and the shifts would go so quickly because you'd be so busy.
Yeah, you'd be busy and you'd be having him. Although I don't know if you remember, you probably do. There was a heat wave that summer, and what was the sunset in Cork, like about 10 o'clock at night?
Yeah.
From memory, around that time. And by 9 p.m., all the locals were so smashed from being out in the sun all day and the heat. I think it reached like 35 degrees or something ridiculous one day. But we had this real dead period because everyone was just
out,
smashed. Like they were just like, oh, can't go out. I'm gonna go to bed. Got sunstroke.
I mean, I don't want to shit on the Irish too much. I love the Irish. It's where I'm from, but relative to the world and what people experience on nights out and especially drinking in the heat, if it's not raining, they're inside and they're nice and comfortable. But the second it gets warm, it's just like, oh my God. And then the story of sunburn and heat stroke comes in. It's crazy.
And they were just dropping like flies. Like I remember we had to close. There were a couple of nights we closed like before midnight and we're all just sent home because there was nobody in the pub.
Wow. No, I don't remember that specifically.
Yeah, I just remember like being sent home early a few nights because it was just no one was coming in because everyone had passed out or whatever. Like, yeah.
Jesus. And I mean, those days again, like no like smartphones, no social media. So
no,
when you're working behind the bar, like nowadays everybody's on their goddamn phone, and back then it was just everyone was interacting and happy and fun and like drunk and loose. And yeah, I go out now and I see how people are in the bars, and I'm just like, back in the day, I don't want to be that old guy to say, you know, back in my day.
You are that old guy.
Maybe I am now. But that was just an incredibly fun time. The reason I have you on this podcast, and we're a fight gym, like City Martial Arts is a fight gym. The podcast is CMA Podcast to help promote the gym. But one of the main reasons why I would like you on this podcast is because you have an incredible story with what you're doing with music. And I'm a huge music fan. No shit, Dave.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So when I saw your post, however many, it was a year ago now, maybe more.
Oh, yeah, maybe. Yeah, a year ago. Yeah.
Yep. That you're reviving a band that I didn't know existed in the first place. I'm like, I'm interested. I'm watching what's going on here. First of all, is the music good? Yes, it is. So you were in a band called Heddy's Revenge.
Yep.
Back in the day, and now you're back.
In the day. So my first time living in Europe was 98. And when I got back, I'd been doing a lot of open mics in Edinburgh, where I was living. And then I got back to Newcastle, my hometown, and I hooked up with my old drummer. I'd been in a band through high school and just out of high school, an all-girl rock band named Twin Psych. And then I left that band. I went overseas, and when I came back, there was a bit of a share house situation happening, and my old drummer was living with my old high school boyfriend, not as a couple, but they were living in a big share house, and I was hanging out with them a lot, and I'd written some songs overseas, and we started jamming because Lib had her drum kit set up in her bedroom, and so she's like, let's play some of these songs that you've written. And so we started jamming, and then Rob, my ex, was bass player, so he, like, the three of us were jamming, and we got another friend named MJ to play guitar, and then we knew of another guy named Steve, and we called him up, and so the five of us joined up, and there was a band comp happening, I don't know, a few weeks away from this particular point. So we decided to enter the band comp. We'd written 5 songs, and and we entered, and we ended up coming third, I think, or second. Jesus, I can't remember now. surprisingly, not surprisingly, my husband's band came first. But yeah, we did really well, and we sort of stuck it out, and that was 1999, and we played a heap of gigs, and we sort of saved up money, and we recorded an EP, and yeah, and then in 2001 our drummer Liv got really sick, and we sort of stopped for quite some time while she got better. And then by the time we rejoined, I think, we'd had a few people had left, and we got some new people in, and it was just sort of getting messy, and we just called it quits. And that was 2001. So cut to 2020, and Steve and Liv and I start chatting on Messenger, just sending messages to each other and whatever, and we jokingly say something about a reunion. And then we're like, we could do this. This could happen. And then COVID hit, so we didn't. So then cut to 2021, COVID's kind of died down, and we're like, can we get together and have a jam? We're going through all our old recordings and demos and stuff. So we got together, and we couldn't get a bass player. And it turns out that MJ, our original guitarist, was actually a bass player before he played guitar for us. So he jumped in on bass, and then our lead guitarist couldn't do it because he had work commitments. So we found this other guitarist that Steve knew, and boom, it all just happened. And we started jamming, we started tweaking the old songs, and then the next thing you know, we're recording, and yeah, just all kind of snowballed. It was great.
Amazing. So there's no initial plan, just it all kind of happened organically, chit chat.
Yeah,
and then
it was almost a joke. Like, we're all got kids, and well, not all of us, but we're kind of like, we're in our 40s now, Dave. Like, come on. And then it just happened. It's great.
I love it. What a story. It's really cool because when things are forced, like hey, contacting email shots to all of the former members, this is the plan, then it becomes like a job or a commitment that you don't really truly want to do. But if it's organic, and if it's chit chat, and it's like, let's see what happens, let's just meet up, have a coffee or whatever, and talk about, hey, let's just have a little bit of fun.
Yeah, well, we did everything via Messenger, and then it was literally all of a sudden we were in a practice studio and drinking beers and going, do you guys remember this song? And let's play this one. Let's just, and the next thing we know, we're kind of like, oh yeah, we're doing all right. We've got them all down. Let's write some more. So we started writing more songs, and
yeah. That is so cool. And let me tell whoever's listening, go check out the links in the description. I'm going to put the 2 videos that I saw this morning just in prep. I saw them obviously when they came out because I'm a fan. But the 2 videos that you recorded are pretty cool. Now, I just have this screenshotted on my phone. I'll probably edit this in as well. You like back in the day when you saw the parental advisory sticker on the CDs, you knew it was going to be a good fucking CD because if there was swearing or a topic that they didn't want pushed to kids or whatever, the authorities come in and they just go, your parents need to be with you when no, fuck off. It's heavy metal. Shut up. Yeah. When I saw your video for the first time, I screenshotted it last night. Warning, this video may potentially trigger seizures for people with photosensitive epilepsy. Viewer discretion is advised. When I saw that at the beginning, this video is going to be fucking awesome.
We know how to party.
Oh man, killer. So that's the video for Who's Sleeping. Really killer video. Was that a song from back in the day, or was that something that it was?
That was actually the first song we all kind of wrote together. I remember we were down in MJ's basement. I had a couple of songs, like I said, that I'd written over in Edinburgh. And Steve had this riff, and he's like, I've got a few words, and he started playing it, and he had the words "Who's Sleeping," and I have insomnia. I've had it since I was like 6. And so I'm like, oh, I'd love to write about insomnia. So I just started writing, the verses, and it just all okay. I remember like it came together so quickly. And then Steve was singing the bit that he'd written sort of over what I was singing, and it's sort of like become our style, I guess, a bit of that, you know, call and response stuff between Steve and I, that dual vocal thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it was very kind of, you know, it was like something that I was, you know, not passionate about, but something I knew about that was frustrating to me. So it was good to have that in an angry kind of rock song like Who's Sleeping. And yeah, it's always sort of been one of our favorites. And so to be able to just record it and then yeah, we decided we wanted to make a bit of a fun video, make it like a bit like an homage to sort of horror movies, like B-grade horror, and maybe a bit of David Lynch thrown in. And Steve took all that on. He's the master film crafter when it comes to our videos at the moment. But yeah.
That's awesome. And it's such a cool video. I'll put some pictures up here while you're talking about it. And I'll post the link in the description. And the other one is it's called New Line.
New Line.
I thought it was We Could Never Be Together because that's the most prominent lyric in the song. But was that also a song written back in the day?
It was, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
It was one of the later songs that we'd written, but back in the day.
Yeah.
It's more of a relationship kind of song, one of those, you know, unrequited love almost sort of stories that the main, you know, protagonist is not picking up on the signals correctly. So yeah, like working on a new line kind of thing. So that's the song. But yeah, that was our first release this time around. And it was recorded pretty much entirely during lockdown separately. Well, we managed to get the main recording down. There was a bit of a break between our lockdowns, and we all went over to our guitarist's house and quickly laid down the you know, the vocals, the drums, the guitars. We just laid it all down in one day. And then lockdown hit, and we were like, well, we had this plan for a video that we just suddenly couldn't make. So our other guitarist, Rob, he kind of was doing all the mixing, and he did all the mastering for it. And then we were like, what are we gonna do about this video? So we had this idea of like we've got all these photos and stuff and video footage from our final gig. So we decided to make like a bit of a notice board kind of vibe, and then we all separately recorded ourselves to plant these images into the different photographs and stuff on the notice board. And it just all came together. And yeah, we were all completely separate parts of the region even. Like, you know, our drummer lives at least half-hour drive away from the main city. I think Rob was moving house, which was tricky during lockdown. But yeah, we're all over the place. So my part was recorded on my back veranda and dancing around my lounge room. I think I moved all the furniture out of the way and jumped around in the lounge room. So yeah, that's pretty fun. It was good. And that was our first release, you know, reunited was New Line.
It's killer.
It worked well.
Yeah, the videos from back in the day, the your lip syncing, it all matches up. And I'm like, this is really cool because it's like nowadays production to back in the day video. And it parallels the two lives of the band. It's really, really killer. Love it.
Steve worked tirelessly on that one. And originally we have a bit of an in-joke. It was meant to be just a simple lyric video. And Steve just went nuts. And so that's why the lyrics are in the video, because that's originally, it was just meant to be a simple one until we could make the proper video we had in mind. But then it just turned into this Frankenstein. And so now we always go, just a simple lyric video. We'll fix it up in post, because it just turned into something way bigger than I think any of us had planned. And it also became a little bit of you know, like kind of like a lockdown anthem, because the line "We'll never be together," you know, that's what everyone was feeling at the time. No one could go and just hang out with their friends or see their family, or, you know, there was even, you know, there was couples separation, and there was all sorts of stuff going on. So it kind of came out at the right time, and we had fun doing it.
It's killer. And as you say, Frankenstein, because like these simple ideas they grow legs, you know, it's like,
Mm.
no, but we should do this. And then we just add that and we'll add this as well. And all of a sudden it's like 2 weeks later and you've got this anthem with this killer video. So
Yeah.
it's just like the simplest ideas end up being like look at We Will Rock You from Queen. It's just like
Yeah.
a tom and a snare with lyrics and a little guitar solo at the end. One of the
Beautiful.
best rock songs of all
Yeah.
time. But yeah, I absolutely adore the video, and I love how you've incorporated like the little sticky notes, and I would imagine that's the old school. You know, when you write something on a napkin for like the lyrics and stuff, that's all
Yeah,
probably.
scraps of paper. And
Yeah,
I finished graphic design diploma during our first lockdown. And my style was definitely very collage and Polaroid photos and all that sort of stuff. It's just kind of, I mean, you can see it behind me. It's very, very much part of my life to have stuff
yeah,
stuck everywhere and images and photos that I've collected. And yeah,
yeah.
actually got, I don't know if you can see, that's an original Polaroid from back in the day.
Yeah.
It's a bit blurry, but
I got the screenshot. I'll put it up in the middle.
cool.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, I just had some of that stuff lying around that we could just scan in and use. So that was pretty cool.
that's killer. And like paralleling, is that a word? Paralleling? I talk for
It
a
is
living.
now.
It's a word now. I just Oxford. Um, but bringing the two together I'm looking at a 22, 23-year-old Nadia just singing, and it's just like, oh, this is so cool. It's like when you see old videos of like Metallica back when they're 18 in Los
Yeah.
Angeles, you know, and now that like, you know, now you guys are like, hopefully post this fucking lockdown, you guys can get out there and show the world your music.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, we were lined up. We did a little kind of gig in a record shop at the end of November last year. There's a record shop in one of the suburbs of Newcastle called Hiss and Crackle. Sells a heap of like new and secondhand vinyl, and he also puts on a lot of local bands in the shop. So we got to play a gig there, which was technically our first gig in 20 years.
Wow.
And that was really fun. And then we had like a proper gig in a venue booked, which was streamed, which you watched, which was the 2nd of December. And that was like our first, hey, we're back. And unfortunately, because of COVID, we haven't played a gig since. Like all the gigs that we've had booked since have been cancelled for so many reasons, but mostly revolving around COVID. It's like one band member gets it, we all can't, like, we're not going to play, you know, we're united front. It's like, we're not going to play the gig, we can't play the gig, or then the venue's closed for whatever reason. And it's just, there's just been so many stop, you know, like we have, it's frustrating. It's very frustrating.
Yeah. Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. I want to get more into that because that is a huge topic for discussion now. But first, guys, what I want you to do is I want you to go to lolatong.com and use the promo code CMA at checkout for a 10% discount. Nadia, you've always known me to be a fashionable guy, right?
Yes.
No, but I'm working on it. I'm trying my best. Yes, it's like really cool to be in these kind of things, but you go to lolatong.com and they're going to set you up with some proper, cool, fashionable and comfortable items of clothing. They also have accessories and they're growing by the minute. They've got dad hats, jackets, hoodies, t-shirts, tracksuits, all with the cool Lola Tong branding. Look at my dad hat. There are girls walking down the street. They see me wearing this. I got to flash the wedding ring every single goddamn time. It sucks. Go to lolatong.com. Use the promo code. Use the promo code CMA for a 10% discount. Stop laughing at me. Guys, Nadia is in Australia, so it's too early here in Switzerland for a beer, but we are also sponsored by Lucerner Beer. Do me a favor, guys, go to your local outlet or go directly to Lucerner Beer Brewery on Burgenstrasse 16. Cheers to you, Nadia, in my Lucerner Beer glass. Here's what I want you to do, guys. Go get yourself a Lucerner Beer. Take a picture of you drinking that beer or in somewhere cool in Switzerland with the beer in your hand. post it on your social media and hashtag CMA Lucerner beer and be in with a chance for a free case of beer at the end of every month. At the end of every month, someone's going to get a free case of beer, and it's going to be because of me. And you can thank me. So go get yourself a Lucerner beer.
Yeah.
All right, guys. And we are back. Nadia, thank you very much for waiting.
That's okay.
Awesome.
That's fun.
So let's touch on, I guess, essentially, as I said before, this is a fight podcast. We talk about fights, upcoming fights, fitness, things like that. I asked you, did you know anything about fights in our messaging, setting this up? And you said, you know who Hulk Hogan is? Okay. Well, let me tell you something, brother. No. But
yeah. You know, I've watched fights.
Yeah. Australians.
I'm just not as big a fan as you are. You know, like, I have friends like you, but I just watch them and go, oh, when their leg gets snapped in half after a minute and a half or whatever it was, Conor McGregor.
That's fantastic.
I know Conor McGregor.
No, fuck that guy.
That was painful to watch though.
I loved it. I loved every second of it. So
I thought of you. As soon as that happened, I was like, "Ooh, Dave will be loving this."
Yeah. Well, it's not the way you handle a loss, right? We talk about Conor McGregor for a second. I didn't think I was going to talk about Conor McGregor right now, but let's do it. This is live. He's not handling the loss well. He's denying the fact that the leg broke.
I haven't spoken to him since that fight, so I don't know.
All right.
I don't know how he's going.
When you're talking to him, tell him I said, there you go. That's for you. What happened in that fight, Nadia, is it wasn't a freak break of the leg where he can just go, well, he didn't beat me because my leg broke. And that's the way it is. When you're fighting and someone's throwing a kick at you, you put up what's called a check. So you turn your leg out and you hope to either check it with your knee, the outside of your shin or something. You see in either the latter part of the first round, Conor threw a kick, Dustin checked the kick, looked at Conor and just went, like, pointed at his leg because he knew he checked the kick. So that caused the damage that inevitably went towards not helping the leg break.
Yes, I do recall that.
I'm delighted you do, but I think, did you watch it live?
Yeah, we were at a pub down the road with some friends of ours, and from memory, I think it wasn't long after one of our lockdowns had ended or something. And we were all sitting around, and I was like, okay, here comes the fight, and then it was just all over. It was like, and it was on a massive screen too, so you could see everything. Yeah, watching
fights.
I mean, I'm a big I like rugby league, and we see some brutal stuff in rugby league as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, legs being bent back and all sorts of things. So yeah. But that was particularly, like, I remember thinking, oh yeah, Dave will have a few things to say about this.
Damn straight. But watching fights in Australia is probably quite easy for you guys, because if it's on in Vegas, it's the main event is like 6 a.m. here, which is like, I don't know, 5 or 6 in the afternoon your time.
Yeah, from memory, it was like late afternoon. I know we were sitting at the pub, we'd had a few drinks, and we were watching it up on the big screen.
So back in the day,
kids were coloring in.
And back in the day, I would have watched fights like in Cork or whatever, before family, before kids. I would have watched, like, I would have had like a Red Bull or something at midnight and just stayed up and watch all the fights. Or gone out drinking, come back at like 3 o'clock in the morning with food and watch like the main card. But nowadays, life's a little busier.
Yes.
I wake up, I make breakfast, we sit down, we watch the fights together, you know? Why not? But yeah, I didn't know you watched the Conor McGregor fight. I didn't know you watch fights in general. And now I'm an even bigger fan.
Damn. I wouldn't say I watch fights in general, but I do have watched the occasional fight. And
Well, I'm going to quiz you on the next fight when I message you again. There's a fight this weekend. I need you to be up to speed, and we're going to do a breakdown next week.
To be fair, probably not going to watch it.
Most likely. But yeah, we were talking before about concerts and cancellations and the absolute debaucherous, horrific 2 years that we've had in relation to just going out, being normal, meeting people, just enjoying the way life used to be. And without getting too fucking depressed, yesterday I was walking into town here in Lucerne, and the amount of people in traffic that were just angry and beeping, and a year ago they were all home office living their lives. Are we back to normal? Is this it?
I think there's a new normal. I think, look, I think, I don't know what the Swiss government's doing, how they're handling it. I know that our government it's had its highs and its lows as far as handling COVID. Then you've got, the state governments within the federal. But, the arts, they're always going to suffer. And live music has suffered. And just when, people think that it's kind of back to normal, and then, like, if a member of your band gets COVID and you can't play, you can't play. And it's heartbreaking, like I look, what are we in? April, almost mid-April, and we've played one gig, and it was December 2nd. We've been booked for at least 3 or 4 since like once everything started moving, and we were like, cool, we've got a gig coming up, another one, yay. And then it was just like one after the other. And it's not just the gigs, it's like band practice. Like, we want to get together and have a good jam, and we're writing new songs, and like, we've had to cancel so many practices over the last, I think our last practice was February, and we've had so many booked. And now, like, I'm ISO again. Last week our guitarist was, and it's kind of like, well, we may have to cancel another band practice. And we have got actually a really big gig coming up in mid-May, and that's going to be here before we know it. And it's like, well, we need to get together. We need to work out a set list. We need to practice. And then hopefully we can then play the gig.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, it is. It is very frustrating. I try and avoid it on this topic, on this podcast, the topic of COVID, lockdowns, government intervention, things like that. But when we're talking specifics, we have to talk about it. My release of life, aside from the gym and boxing and fighting and stuff, my release of life is I don't have time. I don't go to clubs, pubs, restaurants, blah, blah, blah. So it hasn't affected me that much. But for concerts, I like to get together with my friends, have a lash of beers, and go see the bands that have been in my ear since I was a teenager. Every concert for the last 2 years has dropped off the face of the planet. It is very, very frustrating.
And like, you got to think of the children, Dave. Like, what kind of a world are they going to grow up in?
Right.
No mosh pits?
Yeah.
Like, how are they going to know the joy of slamming up against a complete stranger and just clinging onto their shoulders for your dear life in the hope that you will not stumble and you will not be crushed?
Yeah.
They won't know that. And what kind of life skills are they going to learn if they don't know how to handle themselves in a proper mosh pit?
100%. And you're not being funny when you say that. That is where you learn, like, mosh pits, dangerous places, but the people around you, like-minded people.
Keep your head up.
You go down, guaranteed there's going to be 4 hands pulling you back up at a heavy metal concert. But yeah, I've had so many concerts drop off. I won't name them because it just frustrates me. But yeah, I mean, like, now I have one concert that I've got a ticket for. It's Meshuggah. They're like a really heavy band.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing bands all over the world right now with their press releases due to unfortunate circumstances. And it's just like you see it. One member of the crew gets COVID, the whole thing shuts down. Due to non-COVID related matters. So people are just probably out of their goddamn minds, not used to the road for 2 years, and they can't handle the pressure of it now. So this is what they were talking about prior to lockdowns. If people are going to be forced to do this type of behavior, the ramifications after mentally are probably catastrophic. And that's what we're seeing right now. But we're conspiracy theorists for talking like that, right? But for you guys, like, I guess there's a lot that you could achieve over the phone, over Zoom calls, things like that, like the nitty gritties, like you talk about the set list. But you guys physically need to be in a room together, alone with no cameras, just getting the vibe back. And that next practice is probably going to be precious.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I mean, we had a little jam. Yeah, I think it was the end of February or beginning of March. I can't remember. And we were just working on some new songs because our drummer actually had a gardening accident, and she had to get stitches across all of her fingers. So we had to, we all jammed, but she was just basically keeping time while we worked on some new stuff, which was great. But now that we're getting close to this bigger gig, we need a proper, rehearsal kind of thing. We need to just work out, the set list and all that sort of stuff. Just to kind of just get, like you said, get the vibe back, get the mood back.
Yeah, it's so important. Because we can shadow box here when we're fighting, we can just do all the work at home. But until you're standing in front of your training partner and he's ready to punch you, like that feeling of being together next to each other is precious, priceless, if you will.
Yeah, just waiting for the punch.
Yeah, man. But what happens now with is another practice scheduled for you guys? And
whether or not I'll be able to make it, it's for Monday. But I mean, we've still got a few weeks.
Right.
And in the meantime, like we have been productive as usual. Like we've got another song coming out. We finished off the video, or Steve's tweaking all the editing for that video. So that's due out on the 6th of May. So that's going to come out on streaming services and YouTube and everything, regardless. So when we just kind of don't stop, like we keep going, and we did manage to sneak in a few, like record a few extra songs. We're looking at maybe putting together a bit of maybe an EP or something, just to have a physical release. And then the goal is, maybe towards either the end of the year or the beginning next year, like to have a full album done. So there's things we can do when we're not together. But nothing beats being on stage and jumping around and just I want to get used to that again. I want to feel that on the regular, and it's just not been a good time for that sort of thing, unfortunately.
Exactly. I mean, for everything to do with being around people and being in enclosed spaces, it's just like, let us live our fucking lives. Jesus, let's get out there, for God's sake. I just that 4 hi-hats, when you hear those 4 hi-hats on stage and you just wait for this wall of music to come at you, it's like, oh, fucking song.
Yeah.
I'm going to a concert next month. I am going 100% to cry when I'm at the show.
I bet.
I'm going to record the crying and I will release it on OnlyFans.
Well, Ads went to a concert, my husband, a week and a half ago.
Oh, yeah. And
everyone got COVID. So that's why we're in ISO.
Well, there you go. But I would imagine.
But it was worth it. He had a lot of fun, It was good. It was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But back in the day, let's talk about concerts back in the day real quick.
We were lucky. We were very lucky.
We were very lucky. I mean, I'll tell you how lucky we are. So when we were working in the Woodford, one of the guys who ran the catering companies for these events came in and said, hey, we need like 2 or 3 staff to run the bar down at the Live at the Marquee. Fucking straight up with the hand, Well,
I was in Spain. I'd gone down for a little holiday and you messaged me or something. I don't even know how.
Right.
We did it, but you're like, I've put your name down. I'm like, yeah, cool. What is it? And you're like, oh, we're just pulling beers at a tent. There's bands playing. You're like, I missed Roger Waters, but I was there in time for, Jesus, I can't remember what the first one I saw was. I think it was.
It would have been
Roxy Music.
Roxy Music, yes.
That was brilliant.
Now, I had no idea. I don't pay attention to like the big I wasn't a huge concert goer. Like I was still all about music, but I was all about doing my work and just hanging out with my friends. Going to concerts was not a priority until I fell in love with going to concerts, and now it's all I can fucking think about.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the concerts that we saw down there when we were pulling pints, did you smoke? I think you smoked Marlboros.
No.
No? Did we buy a packet of cigarettes just so we could have a smoking break and
Did
go
we?
into the concert? Yes, I think that's what we did.
That could. Oh, they gave us breaks though, and we'd pull a pint and off we go.
Yes, but we had to have extended smoke breaks because I didn't smoke.
Yeah, that does sound kind of familiar actually, getting some cigarettes.
Fucking 16 years later. Robert Plant was playing. Robert Plant from the one and only Led Zeppelin.
We were like kids that week. I remember we were so excited.
I couldn't believe that I was going to see Robert Plant for free.
I remember practically skipping our way through the entrance towards the marquee that night. Like we were like Dorothy in fucking Wizard of Oz. Like we were just like, and I'd had Black Dog in my head all week. Like, oh my God, I was just like, he won't play it, but oh my God, I mean, I don't know if you remember, but he had a rule. He wanted the bar closed.
Yeah.
For the first 15 minutes of his set.
Yeah, he doesn't want people coming in and out.
So we had to go in and watch it.
It had to be done. Unfortunately for us, we had to go and watch the lead singer.
And I remember like we were probably at about the 10-minute mark, and he'd really just been playing one song that just went on and on and on for ages.
Yeah.
And I don't think I was with you. I think there was this like another guy that was with. He's like, "Come on, we better get back to the bar. They're going to open." And we made it all the way to the door. Like we'd been right up the front in the stage. I remember you and I standing when he walked out on stage, and we were just like,
yeah.
We were totally fangirling. But then I remember like leaving, and just to get to the door, that song ended, and I'm like, oh, wait, I just want to see. And sure enough, we're just like, hey, moms. And I just bolted. Like I just ran down the front again. I was like, I don't care if I lose my job. I am standing front and center for this song. And it was just killer. It was awesome.
You cried. I saw you cry.
Oh, I cried.
Yeah. That was awesome.
Happy to.
So that was the 2006 tour. And then the reason that tour was, he doesn't normally do Zeppelin songs. So he did Zeppelin songs to rehearse for the 2007 reunion at the O2 in London.
I was living in Edinburgh when that happened.
Really?
I moved from Cork to Edinburgh. And I remember it was happening.
Amazing. And then that same week, we got to see Kanye West.
You say that like it was a good thing.
A moment's silence for our stupidity on going to a Kanye West concert.
No. We got paid to be there. There were some idiots that actually paid 70 euros to be there. We got paid more than that to be there. So,
Amazing. I love it. Look at the bright side. But yeah, so here's what you don't know. We got the blue t-shirt and the sticker for staff. At the end of that week, I took the sticker off my t-shirt before washing the t-shirt. And I was in a band where I was taking care of the flyers and the laminates and everything. Red King, for anyone who doesn't know. So I went and got the sticker laminated and just put it under my bed or put it in a drawer. For 3 years, live at the Marquee, that fucking laminate worked a charm every time walking in. I saw Christy Moore. I saw Roger Waters. I saw not Simon and Garfunkel, Art Garfunkel, Bob Dylan, Van Morrison.
Yep.
Who else did
But wouldn't you just see him down the street in Ireland? Like,
kind of, but it was prestigious live at the Marquee, I think Dylan Moran was the Irish comedian.
Who was the comedian we saw? The guy that did Jump Around in Gaelic. What was his name? Blonde dude.
Ed Byrne?
Pardon?
Ed Byrne?
Nah, young blonde guy, and he did Jump Around, by House of Pain. But he sang it in Gaelic.
Oh, Des Bishop.
Des Bishop. Yeah, that's who. Good. That was who the comedian was that year that we were.
Yeah. Classic. But then fast forward to when I moved to Switzerland, because all of the bands that would go and do a European tour, a lot of them, they don't go to Ireland because it's too expensive to travel across to this one island. So you might get one going to Dublin and then they go back to Europe, like the continent. Switzerland borders with like France, Germany, Austria, Italy, all that. Like, so they all pop by Switzerland, and they charge through the nose here too, so it's more expensive. So I'm spoiled for choice. So when I moved here in 2012, I saw all these bands coming to Switzerland, like an hour down the road from me. So I just started going to concerts. I go to 2 concerts a month.
I was seeing it all on Facebook.
God, yeah, that's it. I tend to ramble when it comes to concerts. I've just become an addict.
You're just photo. Look at where I am now.
Here's my beer. Look at my face, you know. But what, like, before the big C word, would you have gone to like many concerts? Would it have been a passion of yours?
Oh yeah, ever since I was young. Like, I love live concerts. Like, I've seen people you wouldn't even believe I've seen.
Really?
I saw MC Hammer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like festivals. Like, I was going, there's a festival in Australia called the Big Day Out. I would go to the Big Day Out every year and, like, you know, see everyone from, like, you know, The Prodigy, Porno for Pyros, oh God, who else? Like PJ Harvey a few times. I saw the Red Hot Chili Peppers when I was about 16 or 17. I think because we are also an island and we are quite isolated, but we're a big island. So you come down to Australia and you've got many places to go and play. So it's probably more worth it for bands to come. I mean, even just the Foo Fighters were here last month.
Oh, wow. R.I.P. Taylor Hawkins, man.
Yeah.
I got upset watching the news on that one.
That's why it was such a shock, because they'd literally been here like about 2 weeks before he died. And it was just like, what? That can't be real. That's not real. Yeah. But yeah, no, live concerts, that's my life. Like, I love it. And you know, there's a lot of fantastic local talent. You know, there's bands that I was seeing in the 90s in Australia that are, you know, still, you know, chugging around the country. So like, yeah, let's go see them again, because it's always an awesome concert, and you know, you always have fun smashing around to the songs that you grew up with. And live music all the way. That's why it is hard.
It is. It's an experience, because like all of my closest friends are the guys that I go to concerts with, and they're scattered all over Switzerland here. And you know, like, not being able to see them and just text messages are they get boring after a while. I just want to go put my arm around you, cheers, let's go fucking mosh. But as I said,
we did a virtual concert together though, Dave.
We did, and you were fucking phenomenal. You guys were so good. And it was just like, I'm watching this band on stage from my couch at 9 a.m.
Yeah.
All I want to do is have a beer, and I can't, because I'm a responsible adult.
That was the Heddy's Revenge gig. Yes. No, I'm talking about you and me went to a concert together. Well, you were there. I was partially there. I was there in the ether, because you rang me at 4 a.m. in Australia, and you were at our mate Robert Plant. That's been woken up by a phone call at 5 a.m. and you're like, Nads, I'm at Robert Plant. I'm like, oh, hang on. And I went out into the kitchen and I rang you back, and you just like held the phone up and you kept turning around going, yeah, he's playing this song. Yeah. It was so early in the morning.
I might have been incredibly intoxicated at that show. Funny story about that phone call. So that was in Germany. That was over the border by Basel, right? And my phone was hooking up to 4G or 5G or whatever it was. So I was in my hotel room before the show, couldn't get the Wi-Fi to connected laptop to phone, and just watched the movie a couple of hours before the show. I go to the show. I guess I call you. I'm on the phone for like 5-10 minutes. I go back to my hotel room. I watch another movie and I pass out. I get up and I go home. The next month, I got a fucking phone bill, internet included, for $830. Oh. Because it was hooking up to the German system and I didn't have roaming organized.
You know what that is? That's karma. That's karma getting you back for all those free concerts you got at the Marquee.
There you go. You just hit the nail on the head. The Rock Lords have got me back. God damn it.
Yep.
That was a good show, though. Low Rock,
It was,
place just over Basel.
From what I saw,
I was so close.
I got a bit excited and the phone kind of got all fuzzy and I was like, I'm going back to bed.
I blame my friend Jack Daniels for that. But before I let you go, Nadia, I want you to get out your socials, or whoever's listening. Where should they go to see you guys? Give us everything.
Well, you can find us on Facebook at Heddy's Revenge, Instagram at Heddy's Revenge. I think now she's going to kill me, but we've got a TikTok account and I have no idea. I'm not a TikToker, but I know that we've just started a TikTok account. So I'm guessing it's just under Heddy's Revenge.
Okay.
I'm not being a very good spokesperson here.
No problem. Get that information, send it to me and I'll put it under here.
Yeah. So it'll all be there. You can find us. And we've also got a website, which is just heddysrevenge.com.au. So everything's on the website. Awesome.
And any final words to your fans, anyone listening to our voices today? What have you got to say? Give us words of wisdom from Nadia.
Look, just, if you get the chance, just get out there and support live music, support your local artists, support, any band that can make it into your country at the moment. Like, just enjoy it, find what you love and get out there and get amongst it. And, obviously stay safe, try not to get COVID in the process, but the music industry needs it. We need it. And local bands particularly that, we need your support. We need people to come and see us, even if it is virtually. Just, check us out, send us a like, send us a comment, love to have a chat. But live music, support it.
Rockin'. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, please give it up and hit the like button, hit a comment and tell Nadia how cool you think she is. Nadia, thank you very much for coming on the podcast. I love the chat, reliving the old days. It was an absolute pleasure.
It's been great catching up, Dave.
Rockin'.
Miss you.
Hi.
Love you.
Give me a metal sign for the screenshot. There you go. And we go out. Awesome. Rock and roll, guys.